A day late for a genuine review.
Hello. Welcome to Today we're going to be taking a look at Insidious, Out of the Further. Insidious Out of the Further is the 6th Insidious movie. It's the second one I've seen after the first one.
It's the first one I've seen.
Hey, there you go. It comes from us from director and writer Jacob Chase. I looked at his IMDb. I know nothing from him.
Okay.
This is like the first thing I've ever heard of him from.
Same.
It stars Emilia Eve as Gemma, a single mother raising her daughter in the home her mother went AFK in. When some old folks turn up and cause a ruckus, Gemma starts having nightmares about the Further, where she encounters a cult leader ghost that absolutely would have been played by Jared Leto like 3 years ago. Guided by a ghost who's somehow older than when she was killed, and aided by two of the most irritating sidekicks this year, Gemma has to walk around in the Further and do some non-specific stuff to try to clear her name and her family from whatever curse is bothering them. So let's go ahead and just get this right out of the way. Braden, what'd you think of this movie?
I left with feeling more indifferent about it. It didn't do anything that made me think this is a bad movie, but I also didn't leave the theater wanting to see it right away again. What I can say is I think it's impressive as the 6th film in the series of what it does. We were surprised when we left that we were talking about this with End of Oak Street. It was a PG-13 rating, but I think it used it very effectively and creatively. I don't think it could have done anything better if it was rated R. It was actually surprising when we walked out. It felt like a rated R movie.
I didn't know
versus
it was
a PG-13.
Yeah.
They did some really creative stuff with it. There were some fun, creative scares. It didn't do the constant jump scare thing. There was some aspects of the scares that were more subtle and was showing rather than jumping at you, and I like that. It made it more spooky, and at the same time, it didn't do anything new that made me think, wow, this is the best horror movie of the year. I just left feeling glad we watched it, but not much else.
I'm kind of two minds about this movie. On the one hand, I'm pretty impressed with Jacob Chase's direction, especially in the first half of the movie, I'd say. There's a couple of scare sequences that actually do have some real thought and effort put into them, which, you know, the James Wan, like you said, the James Wan style that he kind of pioneered with Insidious and The Conjuring, it's a style that works with the right director, but oftentimes inferior directors just think it's jump scare city.
Like The Nun.
There's actual thought put behind the scares, and I was thinking about this just on the drive home and on the drive over here to film. You know, when you're in a genre film, especially a real heavy genre like horror or comedy or something like that that has a real specific tone, there's like a secondary aesthetic goal to just telling a good story, which is that you want to achieve the emotion that genre is built around. You know, with an action movie, you want to excite the viewer and you want them to feel tension and really enjoy the action pieces. With a comedy movie, you want to make people laugh. It doesn't really matter if the story is good as long as it makes people laugh. At least it doesn't matter as much. And with horror, of course, the main goal is to scare you. You watch a horror movie to get scared. And the credit I will give Insidious Out of the Further is that it did scare me a couple times. However, my other problem with it is the screenplay, also by Jacob Chase. The screenplay is pretty bad in this movie. There's several lines that are just awkward and weird, and not in an End of Oak Street way where it feels like part of what they're trying to do. It just feels like a person who's not experienced with writing dialogue. And in addition, there's a real problem with tension as the movie reaches its conclusion. It gets so crazy and there's so much visual information thrown at you that at a certain point, I just lost track of what the tension was even supposed to be. And I would say the entire last 30 minutes, I was pretty much checked out. Which is a real problem in a movie like this. You don't want your final act to lose so much steam that you basically leave not caring. And that's pretty much what happened to me by the end of this movie. I just left not very engaged, and as a result, while I did enjoy the first half of the movie pretty well, the second half just does so much wrong that I would have a hard time calling it a positive experience.
That's a hurdle for horror movies in general to jump over.
Yeah.
It's like playing Resident Evil games. I feel like Resident Evil games always start off very, very spooky, and then they have to turn more action-based as it goes along.
Yeah.
Because once you're immersed in an environment long enough, you become desensitized to some of the scares.
That's true.
And I think that's what horror movies try to get over is, all right, first half of the movie, you sit down fresh and it's easy to get scared. They have to come up with something to keep you engaged. For you, it didn't work. For me, I stayed engaged with the more action stuff. It maintained, I would say, status quo. Yeah. It was average, which not bad. It just didn't do anything that was, oh, wow.
There's like some tone problems towards the end of the movie. It's like it decided in the last 10 minutes it wanted to be a horror comedy. Your big bad starts making like jokes and quips and stuff, but only in the last 10 minutes. It's very weird. And to me, I've always had that as a sticking point with the 2 Insidious movies I've seen, where it like decides in the last 15 minutes that the villains need to have a personality, and they haven't up to this point. I love horror comedy. You know, we had a lot of fun watching Thanksgiving, which is a horror comedy. You know, I'm a big fan of the Scream franchise.
Evil Dead.
But like, there is great stuff to be had in horror comedy, but I think it's a weird choice to decide to become a horror comedy in the last 15 minutes of a movie that's been played pretty straight up to this point.
For me, I didn't think they tried to turn it horror comedy. I just thought the big bad had some more odd stuff he did randomly.
He just didn't do any of that up until that moment, though.
But I didn't get the tonal shift of it becoming horror comedy.
I also enjoyed the performance of our main character, Gemma. I could take or leave pretty much everybody else. The spooky guys were different. They were all right. I liked them. I found myself enjoying some of the side spooky guys more than the main one, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But there were some times where your main villain comes on screen, and I was like, oh, can we just go back to the other guys? They were better. But, you know, the creature design was pretty good.
Yeah.
And even on the main villain, the creature design was pretty solid. There was a little girl, the daughter of Gemma, the main character. I thought she was pretty good in the movie. But you have the 2 kind of friends.
The cop and the tattoo artist.
Yeah, they were not very good.
Spoiler alert.
So, the big thing with this movie to me is it kind of tries to tackle a level of generational trauma. And it reminds me a little bit, now this is a movie that doesn't work as well for me as it does for like 90% of people.
Are you going to say Hereditary?
It reminded me a little bit of Hereditary.
Hereditary really works for me.
I think I'm wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong. I watched Hereditary and just didn't get much out of it, other than really great performances, really great direction. Just didn't do much for me. But I will say these 2 movies sort of tackle similar ideas. Gemma's mom commits suicide as the opening of this film. Gemma decides to raise her daughter in the same home, which is like an interesting decision. You kind of get this idea in the beginning of the movie that people think, oh, well, the mom was crazy, she killed herself because she had these strange delusions, whatever. And the daughter is starting, like, our main character, Gemma, is starting to have these delusions too. Turns out this insanity runs in the family, and, well, it's not true. It's just that they have this ability to go to the further and interact with demons and whatnot. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to do with a horror movie. Again, it's a little derivative of Hereditary, which is kind of about the same thing and definitely treats it more interestingly. But I think that's a neat thing to do with Insidious, at least the first movie, wasn't really about that, so I thought that was a neat place to take it. And it's neat to have a villain haunting 3 generations of people within the same family, because you have this cult character. I know his name is Cyrus. I couldn't remember his last name. He haunts Gemma's mom, he haunts Gemma, and then kind of at the end of the movie, he starts haunting the daughter.
And the whole point of it is because they have this special ability to not only access the further, but take objects from the farther to the physical realm, and from the physical realm into the further.
Yeah.
And his idea is to bring all the big bad ghosts and demons all back to the physical realm.
It's actually a neat kind of main villain plan.
Yeah, it's more than just, oh, this is my space, I'm going to haunt it. He was a cult leader, I guess.
Well, they show him on the TV.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of implied. I interpreted him as being like a Manson type in the 70s.
Yeah.
Who probably had like a group suicide type deal, and that's...
It was hilarious when... what's the lady's name from the original Insidious? The ghost lady?
Elise.
Elise was like, I finally was able to help the family in the previous movies. She didn't say previous movies, but we closed that door on their demon, and whenever one door closes in the further, another one opens, and this one hasn't opened for such a long time. There's something so dark behind there. And we see that it's Cyrus, and we later find that Cyrus is... like maybe from the 70s. It's like, okay, that's not that long ago.
No.
It's not like they're resurrecting like Bale or something.
You're right. Especially since it would have been even more recent than that, because the mom encountered him.
Yeah.
So it's like something that has been closed for like 20 years maybe.
Which like
is a long time, but
as I get older, that's not as long as it should be.
No, it isn't. It's a long time, but it is a little funky. Yeah. Cyrus to me he's one of the weaker parts of the movie, which he has a cool plan, and it's a little like Evil Dead-ish in that, like, I feel like the Evil Dead thing is like they just go out to do crazy stuff, and it doesn't really go much farther than that, because like, okay, sure, he's going to bring them to the real world. And then, what?
I guess they just get to act all crazy, like go through walls and eat rats, or like
it's cool,
try to rip nails off.
Yeah, it's odd.
They're just doing the typical ooh kind of things.
Yeah, it is funny because they really set up the idea he's a different kind of spooky guy, and in reality, he's just a spooky guy.
Yeah, he's trying to get him and his buddies, back on the square.
I didn't find him terribly intimidating or frightening. Part of it is because the whole time I was trying to figure out who his actor was.
Well, not Jared Leto.
No.
Jared Leto.
No,
the interesting thing about his character is I thought he was very intimidating at first. We get the scene where
Gemma.
Wait.
Well, what's your name, Brad?
Yeah, something like that.
Bill.
When Gemma goes into the further.
Yeah.
And you hear his voice, and he's commanding these other ghosts and demons, and you get the sense that this guy is the head honcho. Mm-hmm. He's the boss. And when he gets into the physical realm, I was surprised to see him be able to do his powers. He could essentially just point, and he made the cop go hit through the house and dent his police car. And I'm like, well, that guy's dead. And I guess he wasn't.
It's a PG-13 movie.
But so it establishes that he has these powers in the physical realm.
Yeah.
But then he goes and is not able to stop the door. It's like the cop comes back and puts his foot in the door. And it's like, all right, he was just able to shoot him out of the house, but he's not able to get his door out or his foot from the door. And then, the climax when Gemma transports everybody back to the further, all the demons and ghosts turn on that guy for some reason. I'm like, why? He did his job. He brought you back. And it didn't make sense that it was at that point that they all decided, hey, this guy's weak. When he could have just pointed and shot all of them.
No.
His powers, I guess, just weren't as defined, and they only came out when the plot really wanted them to.
They were very inconsistent. I
Yeah.
agree. He's definitely a prime example to me of less is more. Because I agree with you. In Act 1, he was reasonably intimidating. He had a bit of a presence about him. You don't see a whole lot of him. It's interesting to see one of the demons actually have control over the others. But yeah, she beats him by transporting them back to the further, where they already were, and somehow that's intended to be a meaningfully different thing than what was already happening. But to me, the stakes of that are not clearly communicated. We had to talk about that on the way home. I don't feel, and I could be missing something, but it's not clear to me how their situation is in any way different than it was at the start of the movie. And yet, for some reason, everybody treats it as if she got this grand victory. It's weird. I don't know if I just missed something or what, but it's like...
I think what the result was supposed to be was not only can they jump in and out and bring things to and from the further, but they can make their own doors through memories to trap him in. And so Cyrus was trapped in the mom's memory. Cyrus's whole goal, again, is to bring himself and
His
demons
buddies
and ghosts to the physical realm. And he's able to do that by going to these people with these powers and basically linking to them and jumping.
Fall asleep.
That was cool.
Yeah,
I like
it was.
that.
I liked that too.
But as he's linking to the mom, she's like, "Oh, I can trap you," and she bangs her head and kills herself.
Why didn't he stop her?
Yeah. Instead of being like, "No," he could have just used his finger to be like, "Stop doing your head," or
like
sleep,
or like literally.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I guess because then we wouldn't have the movie, and the big bad Cyrus wouldn't be as scary as he's supposed to be. I don't know. That's a good question.
He just chose not to
Yeah,
for
he's like,
hype moments.
Yes, I'll let you off yourself. But so I think Gemma is able to do what her mom did and create a memory to trap Cyrus in the further, and that creates its own door. And I think the victory was not only was she able to do that, but also go back to the physical realm.
I guess.
The scares that we saw, especially on the first half, were really cool.
Yeah, the pillow fort. That was the highlight of the movie for me.
It really made you feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
At the same time, you and I looked at each other, we're like, this is Backrooms.
It was very Backrooms, I agree. Kane Parsons is only 20 years old.
Okay. That made me feel really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And that was one of the examples of, instead of having a jump scare, you see the faces subtly.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more creepy because once you see a jump scare, you know it's going to be coming on the rewatch. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that we were talking about Hereditary. Hereditary does so well is having the environment be incredibly scary and the situation be scary, not relying on jump scares.
Yeah.
The less you rely on jump scares, the more rewatchable it is and still maintains the scares. And though this did have some jump scares, when it was more settled with it and it just gradually built up the tension, I thought it did a great job. And it makes it rewatchable in that sense.
It's one of the other things about James Wan. There's like two things to the James Wan style. And one is the constant jump scares. And two, and I'm not saying he pioneered this, it's just something that happens in a lot of the movies he's got his fingers in. He loves having the villain walk around in the background before you notice anything. So like before the pillow fort scene even started, Gemma's like walking around and like doing the laundry or something, and there's a door open way in the back, and you can see somebody kind of go around the doorway, and that's fun. It's like, oh, it rewards you for paying attention, and it's that level of attention to detail that I feel like is lost a little bit as the movie goes along and gets more over the top.
I didn't think this was trying to be silly again, but
I don't know that it was trying to be silly, but it comes off silly at a certain point to me. It's just like, oh, we got all my friends. We got Scissors Mackenzie. I've got Squib McGee. I've got Shark Jones and Mouse Stevenson. And they're all here, and they're all crazy, and they're going to be spooky and weird. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, there's 40 guys on screen, and they're all bloody in a PG-13 way, and they've all got stuff in their teeth because they're dentists or whatever, and it's like, it's just too much visual information for me at a certain point. And to me, that level of stake is lost when there's 50 guys on the screen and they're all just kind of doing crazy stuff.
The 50 guys on the screen reminded me of Halloween Town High or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that Halloween Town 3?
Yes. That's kind of my point.
I get your point.
The finale of your serious horror movie should not remind somebody of Halloween Town 3.
It's such a guilty pleasure for me.
I guess, do we want to talk about the friends?
Sure. Do you have the cop guy?
Who's
just the cop guy?
He's a boyfriend, I think. He breaks into are they neighbors, I guess? Or, well, they're not neighbors. They
took control of the neighbor's house.
There's 3 people in the real world.
3 old guys.
And they take, like, drugs or something that lets them go to the further, which, like, to me, that's almost the most interesting thing in the movie. Like, what? That's kind of cool. Like, it would be an interesting thing to be a hook for a movie. Like, if, let's say they make another one, and the cop guy has to take the drugs to go help the girl in the further. That would be kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. That'd be neat. In this, I actually like those old people. I thought they were the scariest part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
There's one thing that bothers me a little bit because it's clearly established they are just people. Except the guy goes to the dentist where the lady works at for one scene and one scene only. And she's taking an x-ray of his mouth because he's creepy. And all of a sudden he has an extra row of teeth.
Here.
And he uses them to bite her, but they're like here? And it's like, huh?
He's a mutant.
I guess he's a mutant that can make teeth come out of his throat.
But yeah, he was supposed to be just a normal guy.
And they're like completely normal the rest of the movie, except for the one scene.
with teeth.
The magic teeth.
Yeah.
Just the scene where she was like messing with his mouth and it was all gross.
Oh, that was uncomfortable.
That was actually effective. If it had just been that and the scene ended with him like biting through the restraints to bite her or something.
He didn't need to have the extra teeth.
It was just dumb. It wasn't scary.
One thing I like about the movie is it establishes why they're trying to be spooky.
Yeah.
Because sometimes spooky movies are spooky just to be spooky. Said spooky a lot there. But they establish that Cyrus needs Gemma to be at her full power to start bringing people into the physical realm from the farther. Mm-hmm. And her power increases the more she's frightened, which, okay, that's just a plot device, but at least it's an explanation of why they're trying to be spooky.
And they're effective. They are spooky.
Yeah.
And they're the reason the cop is in the movie, because they break into the neighbor's house so they can take drugs, which, real. And they go to the further and they're guarding the door. And so the cop breaks into the house.
I thought it was clever that they hid themselves under the floorboards.
Yeah.
But it's also like, how? There had to be a third person to help.
Well, the guy could do it to them, but yeah, how did he do it to himself?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
But I thought it was crazy how the cop, to wake them up, was tasing them and slapping them.
I like that the guy just like...
They're old people. He could have actually killed them.
I like that the guy just no-sells it. It's like he tases him and the guy goes...
I know, yeah, it's willpower.
That's kind of fun. That sort of thing is like the silliness I'm okay with. Like, that feels fun. It's kind of entertaining. But then the other friend is a tattoo artist who tattoos on grapefruits or something.
That was one of the worst openings to a character I've ever seen. Gemma walks in the tattoo parlor and she's like, do you know where Elise is? And for absolutely no reason, the lady's like, people have tattooed on pigs for a long time, but grapefruit's more effective. It's like, that was not necessary at all.
No.
That's not a way to introduce yourself.
It's stupid.
It's just trying to aura farm, but it was the worst aura farming ever.
And she doesn't get better. She is the method through which we meet Elise, who is our one legacy character in the...
That was another thing that was just awful. Whenever she said, I can't really talk to Elise. She really just sends images for me to interpret.
She's like,
oh my God, that is the least reliable person you could ever imagine. Interpreting images.
Now going to assault your mind with subliminal messages. Sorry you had to see that.
This is the person who's connecting the two of you together, and her means of communication is sending images that she interprets. It boggles my mind. And then later, Elise talks to her, and she hears her, and so they kind of establish this weird lore for it to go nowhere.
Or she spoke it and sent 15 images to explain the very complicated thing she needed the lady to do.
And she needed to interpret it.
And she can channel Elise, or Elise can channel her if she listens to royalty-free, relaxing music. Are you relaxed yet? Are you in the further now? And they make Gemma listen to it too, and she literally sits up at some point and she goes, oh, this is not working. And then it turns out that it did work, but it's why did they pick that? They could have picked Claire de Lune or something if they didn't want to pay royalties, and that would have at least been believable as something that could relax you.
It's supposed to be, I think, a frequency-based thing, remote viewing.
It sounds stupid.
Yeah,
it just
isn't it?
You put on your headphones and the thing you listen to is
it's the American Psycho thing of what are you listening to? And walking down the hallway. Whamp, 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 whamp.
It sucks. And so then we meet Elise, and now I read an interview with the lady that plays Elise, whose name is Lynn Shay. And Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay. Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay, Lynn Shay. We're losing it.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to talk about. So, Lynn said that she took this role because she thought it would be an exercise in expanding her character. I'm like, no, you didn't.
She took the role for money.
I do want to talk about my very least favorite scene in the movie,
for it.
though. So we have the little girl who's been pretty well played this whole time, and there's a dog. She's being watched by a different neighbor or something, and the neighbor gets killed. She gets chased, and she brings the dog with her, the neighbor's dog, and she's hiding in the closet, and the dog is really not clear what's going on, and she's looking out. It's one of those closets with the blinds, in Halloween. And she's looking around, and Cyrus is walking. And I interpret this whole scene as Cyrus just playing with his food, I guess. He knows she's there the whole time. The dog starts barking, and she's like, oh no, stop it, dog. And then she looks down, and the dog is outside of the closet, and then she's holding Cyrus's head.
Somehow.
And he goes, and it's why would you do that? You've not done anything like this the whole movie.
Again, I interpret that as he was trying to frighten her to heighten her own power.
I feel like he was doing a bit for himself. Yeah. It's weird.
Hey, you know what would be fun? Putting my head in a child's lap. Yeah, that's creepy, just not how you wanted it to be.
So, Braden, you want to go ahead and give us your kind of final thoughts on this movie?
I got to give the movie credit. It being my first one, I thought it did a decent job standing on its own 2 feet. Being the 6th one out of a franchise I've never seen, I have to give it a little bit more props for that. When I think of the 6th film in a horror movie franchise, I think of Halloween, that last movie in the Thorn saga, or the Friday the 13th, Jason comes back again, and it's those movies can really lose themselves, and I got to give this movie props. I don't think it's lost its feeling at least as far as I can tell, for it being the 6th one. I like that it relied on more spooky environments and tension rather than jump scares. At the end of the day, it didn't do anything to wow me. And so I feel conflicted because I don't think it's a bad movie. Would I recommend it? I don't know if I would outright just recommend going and watching it. So it's hard. I'm conflicted between genre fans only, good Saturday afternoon, and not for me. I think it was fine, but I think I'm going to have to go with not for me. But it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's just, I think the only people who would get more out of it than I did are the people who are invested in the franchise. And as of right now, I'm not invested in the franchise.
Sure.
And so I think I have to go with a not for me.
For me, I think the thing about it is it does have some good direction, some decent scare scenes, especially in the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes. The problem is I can't judge a movie based on the fact that 30 minutes of it is good. The rest of the movie just doesn't do it for me. It's not particularly scary. There's not really a lot of characters I enjoy. The script sucks the whole time. And the thing of it is that it fails after that first 45 minutes to do the most basic thing a horror movie should do, which is scare you. And so for me, while I did really enjoy the first 30 minutes, and I'd actually really love to see Jacob Chase take on something else, maybe an original concept where you can maintain that tension and building the whole time, it just didn't do it for me. And so for that reason, I'm very unconflicted in giving it a not for me. Braden, you have any closing thoughts to give the guys at home?
Can we pause for a bathroom break?
Yeah.
Take my mic off so it's not like the, what is it? Not Top Gun.
Top Gun.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
It's hilarious. Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Not Top Gun, Naked Gun.